Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today we're visiting two landmarks just on the outskirts of Guildford. Also, what's the connection between older trees, River Tillingbourne and the building directly behind me now? Stay tuned for more. Okay, scratch that. You know exactly what the answer is to the question because you clicked on the YouTube link, didn't you? Hidden away in the valley close to the village of Chilworth near Guildford are the ruins of a gunpowder industry that dominated the area for almost 300 years. There are plenty of nods to this with local road signs as you enter the site. As you enter through the Green Gate, you pass West Lodge on your right, which is now a Grade 2 listed building and scheduled monument. This building is where ladies and gents clocked in had uniforms sorted, as you can see here from this snippet. There is a very strict dress code for working on the site. Please pause the video to read it fully. Although every care was taken, accidents did happen. Accidents were rare but nearly always lethal. A few large explosions were recorded, one of which where 6 men lost their lives after a man slipped on his hobnail boot. The spark ignited from the metal parts on his sole and the explosion was fatal. Here in 1763 an explosion destroyed this building, levelled it to the floor, killing a number of workers. The huge explosion was so big it rocked the hill and brought the tower of St Martha's Church at the top of that hill crashing to the ground over 746 metres away. Rules were tightened after that. Suitable footwear and uniforms became regulation to avoid any further accidents. But why was Chilworth chosen for the site of the gunpowder works? Apart from location by the Tillingbourne River for the operating of the water mills, the valley was full of elder trees, which is ideal for making charcoal. Just one of the few materials required to the manufacture of the gunpowder mix to be added with saltpetre and sulphur. You can see here that one of the docks could still be walked on and enjoyed. It was used by powder punts whose job it was to move goods around the site safely. The original gunpowder site was huge. During the war years the site was so big it had to be guarded by a military detachment, originally part of the Queen's Royal West Surrey Regiment. Anti-aircraft guns were also installed to protect the site. In October 1915, a German Zeppelin attempted to locate and bomb the gunpowder works. Though it was seen to circle the site several times, wartime lights out precautions worked, and the airship continued west towards Guildford, where it dropped 12 300-kilogram bombs. Apparently the only casualties were a swan on the river and 17 chickens. Jumping forward to present day for a site that was so heavily guarded, it seems really weird now seeing people walking their dogs, riding bikes and running to keep fit through the site. As you enter the gunpowder works, you'll notice a small information board. There's also a map you can pick up here. This gives you information points as you're walking around the gunpowder works of structures of buildings. On this map you can see they're marked with small red circles. On this particular case we're at DH, which is Dusting House. As you can see on your map, each one of the locations gives a small amount of information. They are marked with wooden posts as you walk around the trail itself. Although this particular one is not particularly interesting and it's just a pile of bricks, it does get better. As you walk down the path you'll see a number of buildings that have been restored like this one. It is the Expense magazine. As you walk around this area of the site you'll see a number of millstones. Altogether there are 6 separate stages in the process of making gunpowder, each requiring its own building. First of all the ingredients would be weighed out and mixed together in the mixing house. And then in the powder mill the ingredients would be mixed with water to minimise the risk of fire, ground together with these huge vertical mill wheels. As I walked up to these stones, the true size of them can be seen and felt. You can really see the width of the stones as well. The edge on the millstones can weigh up to 3 tonne each. You can see here one of the two bedstones on the floor. Also the steam engine bed here still remains. Also the remains of the steam pump and pipework, chimney and spark scrubber. Also the wharf gate where the punts are moored up is also still here. Also the bridge is still here where the pack horses used to use coming across from Blackheath. Also Springbridge Quay winder is still here, giving the punts an easy path back in the day in 1656 on this man-made section of river that's still here to this present day. As you can see, most of the areas are very derelict, as you can tell by the bits and pieces behind me here. It's very well looked after, but it's incredibly run down. Yeah, it's quite an interesting area. There are a number of things here that if you don't open your eyes, you'll actually miss. The map is actually really good. It gives you an information of where you are, like all maps do, on particular places and interesting historical bits and pieces with that as well. So I like seeing things like this. Now, one thing, it's silly slippery out here. The amount of times I've fallen over the camera. Don't want to drop that in the water and don't want to fall over and smash it on the floor. Haven't got my GoPro today. I'm running a newer camera to see if it makes a difference with the footage. Runs in 4K, so it's going to be a bit clearer. So do I look better or not? No? Okay, fine. After 1888, this swing bridge carried an extension of the works to a local railway station. This is the first known example of a metric gauge track in the UK. It used wooden wagons to avoid sparks carrying coal. There's a snail that's here. Somebody's carved out and made. The inscription reads, "Sam's Bug Hotel. This snail is now retired. Instead of hundreds of children now climbing on her, she's now home to hundreds of bugs and fungi." Been replaced with this guy here. It's obviously somebody's child and a memorial, which is really, really, really sweet, really beautiful to see. And I've taken a quick shot of this so you can probably read it a bit better. Feel free to pause the video and read it. But this here is one of the many feeds of the River Tillingbourne that comes down. You can understand why they brought the punts down here for supplies for the gunpowder factory itself. Now I've got to make my way back across this. I'm very aware as well, I'm looking at the screen, I've got a new pop-out screen as well, so I'm very aware I'm looking here rather than looking at you, so I apologise for that. Let me just get tuned in with this new camera and we'll sort ourselves out and footage will be a bit better. Enough of looking at crap. And I mean by crap is that I understand this was for the war effort, I understand what they did, I understand this area was one of the most secure places probably in England for a period of time. But there's only a certain amount of times that I can show you a load of bricks in the corner and go, this is interesting, because it's just not. There are certain things that are interesting here, and the historical part of it is huge, huge, absolutely huge. The munitions that are made here and the whole idea of this new gunpowder that was being made, he's massive. He's absolutely massive. But as I said, there's only a certain amount of times I can show you a piece of scrap metal on the floor or where a punch used to come in. So yeah, the next thing is going to be the steam houses. I was going to walk down through the steam mills now. Massive structure. You can see all of these buildings are virtually identical. There's a few differences between each one, but most are exactly the same. And here we are at St Martha's. Beautiful views up here today. Lovely, lovely weather. Definitely a lot warmer from down in the gunpowder factory. Yeah, this is the tower you can see on the top half there. It's the bit that got blown down when the explosion happened down at the gunpowder factory. But I'm going to have another walk round, do some drone flying, and then, well, we'll see a bit more. St Martha's Church occupies the most striking setting of any place of worship in Britain, perched on the crown of a hill at 574 feet up, with no road leading to it. It's a strenuous walk for the bottom of the hill, but generations who have puffed their way up are always rewarded with wonderful views. It is claimed that on a clear day you can see 8 counties. Look to the north across Surrey on the horizon of Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Berkshire, Middlesex and London. Turn south and there's a distant ridge of the South Downs of Sussex. Beyond that is West Hampshire and Wiltshire. Germaine Yvonne Arnold, 20th of December 1890 to 20th of September 1958. She was a French-born pianist, singer and actress with a career spanning over 19 films. She lived in Guildford in Surrey where she died. Her ashes were scattered right here at St Martha's Churchyard. There's a memorial to her in the church grounds. 7 years after her death in 1965, the Yvonne Arnold Theatre was opened in town and it's still going strong to this very day 57 years later. St Martha's Hill featured briefly in a 1944 film called A Canterbury Tale, showing pilgrims walking up the hill on the opening sequence.